All right, here we are, and there it is for our MSG viewers at home. They are looking at one of the two rendering images released by the team today. If you haven't seen them yet, you're either living under a rock or you don't have internet access. It's on BuffaloBills.com, so check it out if you can. Chris Brown, Steve Tasker with you as always, and joined now by Bills Executive Vice President, Chief Operating Officer Ron Raccuia. Ron, thanks for giving us some time here today to kind of shed a little bit more light on what you guys kind of put out there for everyone to see. So why don't we begin with now? Why now? Why today? What made today kind of the day to finally pull the trigger on this?
I don't know that I can answer that, Chris. Everything just came together over the last few days, and it seemed appropriate. It was a good time. We've been waiting for this day for a while. So, yeah, we're excited. But I don't know why today. Yeah. It really wasn't circled on the calendar.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and we've got, obviously this is today, it's always a step for the fans when they finally get a little more information to get a look at what the renderings look like. And then, we were talking and kind of laughing. It's good that the questions are like, does it really cover 60%? That number. What's some of the feedback that you've gotten that you can address with us?
Yeah, from what I've heard so far, people are excited. We're certainly excited. I hope it matches what we've been talking about for several months and what we were trying to build and our vision for the Bills Stadium of the future. I can answer yes. The canopy covers 65% of the fans. Yes, the Buffaloes are pretty big. How big, I'm not really sure. Yeah. So we're excited about it. I hope the fans are excited about it as much as we are, and the amount of time and thoughtful effort that went into designing what we think is going to be the best football stadium in the NFL.
It's going to be a football stadium, but it's going to be way better. I can tell already it's going to be way better than that, but it's going to be vastly different than Highmark has been. It's a different style of stadium, a different kind of setup. It's going to answer the problems that Highmark has always had. And I think the biggest adjustment is the fact that it's going to be better, but also very different than the experience, the way it looks when you're inside of it.
It's certainly going to be different in every way. I think we've talked in the past where you said, what will be the same? And the answer is really nothing.
Right.
It won't. But
the same team will be playing
inside. Same team will be playing. Same great fans will be in there. But really what it will be the greatest home field advantage in the NFL, which is what we're committed to doing. The fan amenities, the modernization, all of that will be in this stadium that Highmark, unfortunately, has never had. Right. So what we want to do is we really want to recreate the unbelievable memories that we've all had throughout the years at Highmark and bring them to the new stadium and make all these new memories again.
Let's talk a little bit more about the vision for the stadium, because I know a lot of work has gone into this, umpteen number of hours, countless hours by the creative staff and everything. And I know everybody's all consumed about what the inside of the stadium is going to look like, the seating experience. We'll get to all of that. I want to spend a little time on the outside of the stadium, though, and the vision behind some of that. I know a picture says 1,000 words, but can you just lend and elaborate a little bit more on some of the thoughts into the outside design of the stadium?
Sure. Number one is we wanted to honor what's really important to Western New Yorkers. Architecture and our history is really what makes this community special, one of the many things that make it special. We wanted to carry that over into the new stadium, but we also needed to make sure that it was modern. It was going to last the next 30 years. It was effective in terms of how to manage wind and precipitation and create a more comfortable atmosphere. So really proud of what our team and Populace and Legends and everybody has come together. Kim and Terry were instrumental in how this came about. You see a lot. There's going to be brick. There's going to be glass. There's going to be metal, steel framing.
Columns. Like the old odd. It's going to be, really great stuff.
It's going to feel strong. It's going to feel like a community, and it gives us a lot of kind of our history in building into the future.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, and I didn't think about it until I just saw one of the themes that has become part of Buffalo Bills lore and the Bills Mafia and the fan base is the fraternal nature of it and the fact that when you grow up here, you never leave, even if you live someplace else. And even the statues of the Buffaloes, it's a family of Buffaloes.
That's right.
Right? Everything about
it is,
if
you will.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the brick use, it harkens back to all the architectural iconic buildings here in Buffalo that really only Western New Yorkers are familiar with.
That's exactly right, Steve. And I want to go back to one thing that you said. It is for families.
Yeah.
It is for our family, our Bills family, our community of Western New York family. And everything we're trying to do is make this a place where people want to come, they want to celebrate, they want to have shared experiences, they feel comfortable, and we feel we did that. Not just inside the bowl, but the exterior as well. You know, what we're generally and generically calling right now family circle is where the buffaloes are. That's not just going to be some amazing, really big buffalo statues. We want to celebrate the history of the Buffalo Bills there, the history of our community, the history of the Seneca Nation, you know, where this land was and was theirs, and we're working with them diligently every day to do that, as well as make it a place for 365 days a year that people come and feel comfortable as a family to celebrate our history.
Moving to the inside of the stadium, we've heard a lot about the stacked seating and how that will help make it a intimidating place to play in terms of sound raining back down onto the field. But that stacked seating is also going to enhance the fan experience because of the viewing angles, the proximity to the field, all those things too, right? Like,
absolutely. Every seat in this stadium, the equivalent seat in Highmark, you're closer to the action in the new stadium.
Right. Okay, that's what I thought I remember
Yeah,
hearing.
and I will tell you, you know, growing up and coming to games, you know, we always sat in the upper deck, and it's a great place to watch football and watch plays develop and all that stuff. If I'm a fan and I want to come and really just football is the most important thing, that upper deck might be the best viewing experience ever.
Right.
It is, number one, you're hanging over the field, you're really close, you're covered. We will have amenities in the upper decks and in the end zones that are equivalent everywhere else. It's really going to be fan-centric.
I saw, too, that radiant heating is going to be a big part of the stadium. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, for fans that are looking at the inside photo on BuffaloBills.com or our MSG viewers that are looking at it now, those red tinted areas, are those the planned radiant heating locations, or is it going to be even more extensive than that? I mean, what are we, if you could spell it out?
Yeah, those are the planned stations now,
Okay.
but there will be significantly more.
Okay.
Especially in the concourses,
Okay.
where there will be temperature-controlled spaces throughout. What you're seeing there is where the radiant heating affects the bowl.
Okay.
Again, a lot of things subject to change.
Yes.
But that is really what we envision right now
So
in terms of
safe to
radiant
say,
heating.
far more expansive than what exists in Highmark right now, which is basically just the club seats, right, for radiant heating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
a thing like this happens where we finally get a chance to see what it is going to look like, generally speaking, at least. This is kind of a baby step in the process for you guys who are like, I mean, you guys are 24/7 on that. We know we've had conversations. So this is a baby step for you guys, kind of a significant step for the fans. What's another maybe down the road significant step that fans could look forward to with this whole huge project?
Well, one of the things I heard is, you know, when can they see more pictures?
Oh yeah, for sure.
They can never get enough renderings.
I want to hold it and spin it and look at it. And
Yeah, listen, we're gonna continue to release images as plans and areas of the stadium get finalized. That's happening literally daily.
Right.
Our teams are meeting every day, as you mentioned. One of the exciting things that we're going to start to introduce to fans is the sales center, which is something new that we're starting to talk about. We will have a sales center where fans can go and experience what it would be like to be inside the new stadium.
Oh, nice.
With virtual reality, with actual build-outs of seats where you can sit in there. That's going to be really exciting. That's going to come up in a few months, but we're going to start talking about it and showing people some of those experiences soon.
Is there going to be like a designated place where that's going to happen? Is that a
It is, and this will
Okay.
be the first time we say it.
Okay.
It will be at the Walker Center on Main Street in Williamsville.
Williamsville, yeah.
A great place, a central location, right off the 90, the 290. Great partners there with the owners of the Walker Center. We've been developing it now for several months. We're really excited. Ample parking. It's a great space, former retail center of Tony Walker and Company. So it's designed to have a lot of people. We're really excited about
So
it.
that'll serve basically as a one-stop shop for fans to experience what a new seating experience will be like.
Yeah.
on game
Every
day.
fan who buys a seat at the new stadium will experience the sales center at the Walker.
Yeah,
Walker
so that's
Center Plaza.
if you also that's going to be where the latest information. You can go to the Walker Center and say, okay, are there any new pictures, new renderings, that kind of thing. You can kind of progress report.
Well, that we're going to have a website,
Okay.
which will launch very soon. Forgive me for not knowing the exact date. But it's really
Right.
soon. And the website will be the first place to do that. And then Sales Center will be the place where you actually start to go and physically experience it. We're going to have one thing I want to say about the Sales Center. It's not just a place to go buy a ticket. You're going to be able to recreate through virtual reality and a lot of technology your front door at home to your seat at the stadium.
Oh,
How do you
yeah.
want to drive there? Where do you want to park? Where do you want to tailgate? How do you want to get in and out of the stadium? Where do you want to be in terms of food and beverage operations? You're going to be able to choose all of that and experience it in this virtual reality setting.
So we're talking like slapping on a pair of VR goggles, punching in your address, and saying, "All right, here's my day. Here's my game day."
Well, it sounds
basically.
like you're as technologically advanced as I am, which is not very much.
Okay.
I don't know
Yeah,
that it
you're right.
works that way.
Yeah.
But you will be at the same experience.
That's pretty
I don't know if
That's
we'll have
pretty amazing.
goggles.
That's pretty
Yeah.
amazing.
But
and
yes.
obviously you got some work to do at the Walker Center to get this done. Was this going to be like in the spring next year, the summer coming up? After the winter, you get that built out, or
Yeah, the construction has really started. We think it'll open in the spring some point. We can move that up if things move faster.
Right.
Like I said, they've been great partners with us to be accommodating. But I would say worst case scenario, yes, it'll open up in the spring.
So, what is with the fan? This sales center certainly one of them, and I think for the next 23, 24, and 25, you're going to see incremental progress across the road here on Abbott.
Definitely. Plan is still to officially break ground, with all the pomp and circumstances of a big dig as soon as the weather breaks in the spring. So hopefully that's in March, could be in April. And then, you start with a hole and you
Constant
start
activity,
building
yeah.
it from there.
How much? I mean, this stadium it's going to sit up above, completely above ground, not like Highmark, correct?
Well, some of it will be below ground.
Right.
It'll probably be one level, which could be 12, 15 feet,
Right.
on average.
Right.
But significantly different than Highmark, which I believe is close to 50 feet below ground.
Right.
Yeah, and you already talked about the wind and keeping it out, to kind of enhance the fan experience as well, because we know all too well, the Lake Erie facing end of the stadium, the wind swoops in.
How many people have gone to a game and you stand there looking at the flags?
Yeah.
All
I mean,
the flags
fans,
we have around.
I would say the vast majority of fans don't mind the cold or the snow. It's the wind that's the killer in Highmark a lot of the times in terms of impacting, how many layers am I going to have to wear? That's going to be significantly reduced by the sounds of how this stadium is going to be contoured on the outside.
It's totally accurate. One of the things about the canopy is people look at the canopy and say it's going to protect me from precipitation. The canopy is also a key component to mitigating the wind. So the exterior and the canopy all work together so that the word you use, Chris, the wind doesn't swoop in.
Yeah.
You don't want it to swoop in. You want the wind to, as we've been talking about, get confused. So it hits the exterior of the building, it starts to dissipate, it doesn't run up the building and then fall in and then just swirl and go crazy. We want it to lose all of its steam, go over the top, and come out the other side and not have significant
So it's
wind
not going to
factor.
be the stadium's not going to be like a sports car that slips through the wind. It's going to be like a hairdryer that spreads it out almost. kind of
Correct,
thing,
and that's
right?
why the exterior of the building has metal perforation, glass, steel, brick, as we talked about. That metal perforation is non-patterned. So different pieces will have larger holes, different shaped holes. It'll have 1-ply, 2-ply. All of that, through testing and scientific research, is to dissipate the wind not only into the bowl, but also into the concourses. And then once it gets up into the canopy is angled and positioned in such a way that, again, diffuses the wind.
One of the things that struck me about being vastly different from Highmark is the fact that when you go out to get, beer or food or whatever, go to the bathroom, whatever you have, you never feel like you leave the stadium. Because now you feel like you go out, you walk in these concourses of Highmark, and you kind of feel like you can kind of even just barely hear the game, right? This is going to be more like a baseball stadium where you can even see the field while you're walking a circle around it.
Steve, you're 100% right. Think about Highmark right now. Everything is in the interior of the bowl.
Right.
Everything in the new stadium is going to be at the exterior of the concourse. So you have seating, concourse, and then restrooms and food and beverage, et cetera. So when you're in the concourse, you are actually not impeded at all from a sight standpoint or a noise standpoint to the field. We wanted to be able people to walk around, and when you're in the concourse, you still see the field. You still feel the energy.
Right.
We don't have that at Highmark. It's one of the bigger differences that people are going to experience.
So from a general perspective, Ron, what is kind of next on the to-do list here?
Well, maybe the less sexy part of it is we've got to finish off these agreements.
Okay.
We're still in the middle of this negotiation. We feel good with where we're at, but we're not there yet. Every agreement is still needing to be finalized. We have to focus and get that done, cross the finish line. While that's happening, as you can see by the renderings and the depth that we've got into in this conversation, we are still moving forward with this development. It is a short window to get a new stadium built and have it ready for 2026.
Right.
So that is happening today. There's a seeker hearing tonight. Populous is on site. Scott Radisek, former Bill, your former teammate.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good guy, by the way. He's done a great job.
He's a pretty good guy.
Yeah,
he's
a
got
pretty
some
good
skills.
guy. He's a pretty good guy.
He's done a great job. His team has. Legends is on site now. The work is just constant and nonstop.
Right. Well, Ron, thanks for your effort. It's been awesome. It's great to get a shot.
Look forward to
at
that
the
sales
picture.
center, too. That
I
sounds
love
really
the
cool.
It's always fun when we get a chance to see just a little bit more of what it's actually going to look like. Thanks.
Well, we'll do this more, and as things come out, we'll spend more and more time together.
Absolutely.